Thank you, Jim.
Sure.
Congratulations to the Flies It Group and
Thank
Federal
you.
News Radio on their
Thank
100th
you.
broadcast.
And the Trezza Media Group. Who
Yes, the Trezza Media Group, too. We're honored and privileged to be a part of it. I'd also like to thank you for saving the best for last, the best panel for last for this occasion today. So I'm Rob Mancini. I'm the District of Columbia's Chief Technology Officer. The District of Columbia is about a 40,000 user enterprise, about 100 agencies. And I'll give you a little bit of a flavor for why that's a little bit different than some of my colleagues are. But I wanted to start off, before I tell you about a couple of things I wanted to touch on today. I wanted to give you a little bit of philosophy on public service, because I think it's one of the more rewarding areas for either a technologist or a worker of any kind to be a part of, especially if they come by it with a servant's heart and ask themselves every day, if I were hauled into court and accused of being a good public servant, would there be enough evidence to convict me?
Wow, I like
So that's how I try to approach my work on a daily basis, Jim.
Very good at it.
And I try to make that permeate throughout my agency.
Okay.
That keeps us focused and helps us understand what we're looking at. Technology is about half of the job, in my view. The other half is leadership, and I think these jobs are very hard. I talked with a lot of my federal CIO colleagues. They're very good to me as a local CIO. And their jobs are as hard or harder than mine, of course. But I think the thing we really need to focus on is not being afraid to lead and to seize the opportunity to help those who are above us in the management chain to understand how to think about IT. And it's our job to help them apply that for business value. And that's the most important part of the job. It's great for us to be good technologists, and I think we probably all got here where we are by being good technologists, but we can't be afraid and can't hesitate to try to advance technology and help people to understand how to think about it as we ask for the funding for what we do.
So give us some example of where that has been applied to some programs.
Okay, I'd like to talk about what I call the invisible enabler.
Okay.
All the things that we talk about when it comes to cloud and big data and geospatial and mobility, the thing that enables those is a worthy technology infrastructure, and the worthy technology infrastructure starts with the quality of the network. I heard a couple of folks talk about it earlier. One of the Robs on the first panel talked about that as well. That's a particular success story for the district. Most people wouldn't know that we operate 600 miles of high-speed fiber in this city. We own and we operate it. So we operate our own telephone company and high-speed data services company. So that is an enabler of all of the application solutions and development that we deliver to the 100 agencies of the DC government. That is the enabler of our Cybersecurity Operations Center that we're going to be opening later this month. That is the enabler of a lot of the infrastructure services that we operate and that we sell through MOUs to our fellow district agencies. And a commitment to operating a worthy infrastructure like that enables you to deliver solutions for the residents, businesses, and visitors, and even federal colleagues in this city that most cities would only dream of. And I would like to tell you that the most important aspect of what my agency does is the way in which we operate DCNet. It has won a lot of national awards, and it really is the enabler. And it has become a center of excellence for my agency so that I can marry things like the security operation to a center of excellence like a network. And I've heard several of the other CIOs up here speaking about those types of challenges. You won't do mobility, big data, geospatial, or cloud without the infrastructure. And that's usually the last thing a cloud provider will tell you about. They'll sell you that service, but you've got to get there. And the extent to which I can make a phone call in 5 minutes and go from a 1 gig connection to a 10 gig gives me an enormous advantage. The other advantage I have is a very small boundary, which my federal colleagues up here don't have the luxury of having, and that gives me enormous power to be able to bring business value.
You're bounded.
Correct.
And what are some lessons you learned, some things you would pass on to other leaders as to your experience here?
I would say focus on leaving whatever you inherited better than you found it, and think strategically in order to do that. And never hesitate to tell those above you that they really need to think a certain way about IT. For example, if you're being told you can't spend money on training and education for your staff, you need to say, well, okay, what if we invested a lot of money in these folks and they left? But what if we invested nothing and they stayed? There's an alternative to that type, and you can't be afraid to look at that alternative and bring it back to leadership and help them understand. IT is something that requires continuous investment and improvement.
Terrific.